I think the thing that people don't realize is how much I enjoy working with our teams, being with those people and motivating them and giving them guidance and sharing what I knew that I've been doing for 35 years is really probably the thing that most people don't really realize.
Welcome, everyone. Welcome back to another Builder365 podcast. Jeff Shore here, along with Amy O'Connor. Hi, Amy.
Hi, everyone.
Hey, here we are in the podcast where we celebrate all things home building, and we got just a wonderful, wonderful guest today, a legend in the industry, very, very high-powered. We're going to hear from the CEO of TRI Pointe Homes himself, Doug Bauer, here in just a little while. But we're so happy to have you here on the podcast. If you're enjoying these, make sure you're sharing it. Send out the love. Let people know in your channels that we're doing this. We do this for you, and we'd love that support however we can get it. Here we are. It is now 4th of July just behind us. Amy, what do you normally do on the 4th of July? Is there a tradition, or do you even care?
No, we love the 4th of July. You know, we live in a historic home, and right around the corner from us is this cute little historic town called Waterford. Tiny, tiny, wonderful homes. And there's a parade every year. And to be in the parade, you just show up. And so my kids, especially when they were little, it was such a big deal to, do our bikes or the go-kart or whatever. Now I have to make them do it, of course, because now it's super embarrassing. But I still make them get in the parade, and we walk through the cute little town, and it ends up at this little patch of grass, and there's hot dogs and watermelon and a cakewalk, an old school cakewalk, which I love. And there's a little singing. It's adorable. Now, you're sweating like a maniac, right? Like you're pouring. It's disgusting, but it's super cute.
That is amazing. You've just got Americana personified right there. That is very, very cool. All right, that's what's happening on the East Coast. Let's check in on the West Coast. Welcoming back our director of marketing, who happens to be the son of my wife, Kevin Shore. Kevin, what happens for you at 4th of July? Do you care? Or do you not care?
We enjoy 4th of July. We used to do a block party on this neighborhood, but my kids are the only ones of age to celebrate it anymore. Everyone else has sort of moved out or moved up. Unfortunately, my 4-year-old truly hates fireworks. She's okay if they're happening off in the background, but going and seeing a fireworks show, she's like, no, she's going to cover her ears, and it's not gonna happen. So we haven't been able to really set any traditions now that the block party has moved up. This year we're going to go up to Big Bear, and we're just going to rent a cabin and play in the pool. And they have like a 4th of July thing at their convention center that we'll go and spend the day there, and then we'll come home and just distract her while the fireworks are going off. But yeah, it'll be fun.
So Kevin, is it because she doesn't like the noise? Or was there a catastrophic event that we don't know about, like you shot a firework right at her and you just don't want to tell us that?
No, the catastrophic event is just that fireworks just occasionally and completely without warning will just go off. Just one every other night, 10:30 to 12:30, and you just never know when it's going to be. So just not a big trauma, Amy. Just little traumas.
All right, little traumas.
Repeating.
Okay, that add up over time. Okay, got it.
Love it. Of course, 4th of July, it typically for a lot of people means hot dogs. I got to check in with my food twin. Amy and I have this weird thing that we, with the exception of Twizzlers and Red Vines, which, by the way, if I never eat either one for the rest of my life, I'd be okay. But it's fun to battle about it anyway. But Amy and I always eat the same thing. So, Amy, I've never asked you the question here, but hot dogs with sauerkraut on 4th of July, are you in or are you out?
Yes, hot dog, no sauerkraut. I like pickle relish, but I don't like sauerkraut. Oh, you're giving me the look. Oh, is this not working out now?
Yeah, one of those rare moments when we are not on the same page. One of the saddest days of my life is when they stopped offering sauerkraut on the hot dogs at Costco. And every time I go, there was like, oh my goodness. Kevin, solve the debate for us. What are you thinking?
Well, since I've been spending more time with my father-in-law recently, who's from Chicago, It's actually just all of the above. It's like it's that kitchen sink approach to the hot dog. It's the full Chicago style with the like neon green relish and the sport pickle and the tomato and the onion and everything. Yeah.
They're hard to eat though. The Chicago
They
dogs
are hard to eat.
Yeah.
But like I don't feel like cleanliness in eating is a big priority in Chicago. No offense to Chicagoans, but
well, as it turns out, last week I was in Chicago, and I went to Amy and I were in Chicago with our leadership team. We actually went to a Cubs game, and I sat there with just my regular hot dog. They didn't have sauerkraut, but I was able to put the regular ballpark condiments. Wade is sitting next to me with a Chicago dog, and let me just say that it was a lot easier for me to eat my hot dog than him to eat his, for sure. Yeah. So.
You don't put ketchup on your hot dog, do you? Please tell me you don't put ketchup on it.
It's I'm sort of in and out on ketchup. It depends on what else is available. Sometimes yes, sometimes no. But that's another thing where we separate. You don't like mayonnaise either, which is interesting because I kind of understand why people don't like mayonnaise, but I like mayonnaise. All right, here we go. Now that we've had the condiment conversation, I want to let you know to give a special thanks to our partner for the podcast, Builder365, as always, is powered by Open Door for Builders. Easy sales, smart moves. You can learn more about the work they do to support home builders at opendoor.com/builder365. Here it is, a hallmark of summer, especially for those of us in the West, is unfortunately it's wildfires. And Nolan, I'm going to have you put that map up on the screen there that gives you a sense of where those wildfire heat maps. Amy, it looks like you are okay, but there I am outside of Sacramento. Kevin, you're in San Diego, and this is what we now call our fifth season, right? It's wildfire time for what goes on. And it's interesting to note, too, Nolan, if you can switch over to the graph, the number of wildfires is decreasing year by year, but the size of the wildfires is getting larger and larger and larger. And that's what we see here, certainly in Northern California. Of course, as it relates to so many of our listeners and viewers on Builder365, it adds to just this tremendous insurance crisis. And, everybody wants to bag on the insurance companies for raising high rates. But the fact of the matter is, what are you going to do? I mean, it's a really difficult areas. And, we've had, not so far from where I live, just entire neighborhoods that have just been wiped out by fire. So it's a real tragedy. And unfortunately, what's the solution? I don't know. I mean, AI seems to be the answer to everything, but how does AI help us with wildfires? I don't have any call on that one at all. So any commentary?
It's absolutely, my father-in-law is my in-laws. They're looking for a place to live around here, and the most affordable is the more sort of wooded area, but they can't get fire insurance. They've backed out of contracts because they knew they weren't going to be able to get any sort of insurance on it. It's been pretty rough.
Yeah, that's risky.
Yeah. Very, very frustrating, and not sure what the answer is, but maybe somebody will come up with something clever to try and figure that out. All right, well, let's switch gears here, and what we're going to do right now, before we bring on Doug Bauer, I want to show you a video. It's 1 minute long. It's only 1 minute long, and it's a fast-paced 1 minute. So if you're watching right now, for those of you who are just listening to the podcast, I'm sorry, you're going to have to just put up with 1 minute of video here, okay? Maybe you can log on to YouTube afterwards and see what you missed out. But this is 1 minute, fast-paced, of design ideas. And since, we love new homes, we love all of the cool aspects of new homes, we've got a 1 minute video on design ideas. I'm going to just roll that real quick. Actually, I'll have Nolan in the background roll that. And then we'll hear from the three of us just as what we thought was the coolest of those features in that 1 minute video. So, Nolan, hit it. right. Hey, we're back. I'll go last. Amy, go ahead. What did you think? What was your favorite right there?
Yeah, I mean, I loved all of them. They don't all work for my home, but I'll tell you what does work for my home was in the kitchen where you slide and you see nothing, right? Like, I love that where you're not seeing any of the appliances, your counters don't look messy. Like, to me, that's amazing. Love that feature.
Okay, so you've already got something on the list for Rich to build into your home, and that's what I just heard right there.
The answer is yes. We're renovating the kitchen
All
now.
right. Kevin, what was cool about that video?
Well, I'm like my current home office is also our guest bedroom, so like I've got a queen size bed like right here. If that could just come down from the ceiling, I would get rid of the ceiling fan in a heartbeat to replace it with that feature.
Well, we saw a little bit of that with our last episode with Mike Woodley, where we were talking about how we change up the function of rooms to make them multi-purpose. And, we the most innovative thing that we've come up with is the Murphy bed, which is 200 years old. But if we can come up with those opportunities where the furniture changes, adapts, and the sofa becomes a coffee table and all that, I think that's going to be very important, because as we continue to try and figure out how to make homes more affordable, it means we're probably going to have to make them smaller and more versatile as we go through. For me, what I loved was the hidden stairs under the counter, under the island in the kitchen. That was awesome. It would take me to nowhere now, but I might have to do it anyway because it was that cool.
Yeah.
All right.
So,
Well,
Joe,
listen.
I'm just curious,
sure.
when you're looking at those, right? My mind goes immediately to Tokyo, Hong Kong, right? Like, that's where, like, it sort of has that vibe. The furniture sort of looks like that sort of thing. We know, of course, the density over there is a big issue. So they definitely have. It's not even a choice, right? They have to do that. So I'm curious, what do you think about Americans? Will they be able to adopt this? They can watch a video, right, and think it's cool. But how much do you think they're ready to adopt these changes?
Well, look, necessity is the mother of invention, right? You mentioned Japan, and you rightly said that the density is so extreme that you don't have a choice. You have to be innovative with the way it is. And even when we look at what goes on in North America today, there are people who have had to get creative in the way that they live in their home. And as Kevin was just mentioning, he's got, he's got an office that he shares with the guests, but that's not an unusual thing. And so I think people are already doing it. The question is, can they do it with a greater intention? Can we build it in that way so that we get more versatility along those lines? I think we will see that. Walls that move and to give you more space in one room or another depending on your need. It doesn't seem unusual. Karen and I will be in France here this summer. We'll be staying in a couple of different apartments as an Airbnb, and I've always found that that's what happens there. Or if I'm in Manhattan, people get very creative in the way that they use the space because they need to. So yeah, I think necessity will drive us in that direction. The question is, will we be able to do it en masse in the industry, in the home building industry? Yeah. Right. And note that because I'm going to France, I said en masse, not en masse. Thank you very much. I didn't know if you picked that up. All right. Hey, it's time. It's time to talk to Doug Bauer. He's the Chief Executive Officer at TRI Pointe Homes. I've known him since his days running William Lyon Homes. He is an amazing individual, actively involved in both legislative efforts and community enhancement programs through the California Building Industry Association and through Homemade of Orange County. We love Homemade. It's there, if you're probably familiar, but it's that charitable organization that builds shelters for the temporary homeless. Doug Bauer has a BA from the University of Oregon, an MBA from USC, Southern California. When he's not working on TRI Pointe growth, which has been phenomenal, Doug likes to work on bettering his triathlon times for both exercise and for pleasure. I think you're going to love this interview with Doug Bauer. Doug Bauer, welcome. Happy to have you here with us. You're the CEO of one of the largest, most successful home builders in the world. Tell us something that most people probably don't realize about the role of this CEO.
Oh, wow. You would open up with a question like that. Uh,
I mean, listen, we sort of picture you, with with spreadsheets and numbers and talking to bankers and Wall Street and everything else. But there's probably some intricacy about the job that we just don't understand.
well, I think the best part of the job that people don't understand because you're a public company and you think you have all this public uh, group of people that you have to deal with. I think the thing that people don't realize is how much I enjoy working with our teams and traveling and spending time with our teams and really seeing our team members continue to develop. That actually, at my tender age of 63, I think the biggest thing that I probably don't share with a lot of, especially Wall Street, is we share the most important part of our team is our people in our culture, but being with those people and motivating them and giving them guidance and sharing what I know that I've been doing for 35 years is really probably the thing that most people don't really realize.
Let's talk about culture because when you go on the websites of most home builders and you click on the About Us tab, and you're going to see all kinds of comments about company values and what we believe in. And just yesterday, as a matter of fact, I was looking at such a page for a builder who just has wonderful, glowing things to say on their website. I would want to work for this company in a heartbeat, except that I happen to know that the culture there is downright toxic. So everybody has it on their website, but very few companies can translate what is on their website into what actually happens. Everybody talks a good game about culture, but few companies execute that certainly anywhere near as well as you have at TRI Pointe. Why do you think that is?
Being authentic, I think, is the key word. I mean, years and years ago, I don't come up with a lot of great things here at the company. We've got incredible team members, and everybody's a lot smarter than I am. But I came up with this acronym HEART, and then the leadership team beat it up and put words around it. And HEART means humility, empowerment, authenticity, results, and team. And I don't take credit for all the little words there. I came up with a few of them. Authentic and humility are the ones that I really live by, and I think you'll find. I was with it as an example, a very senior home building executive. I won't name names, but runs a significant private home building operation, and they wanted to meet Tom and I. And I actually just got the call back from the banker, and the banker called me and says, "God, he was just absolutely blown away. You guys, there's no big air. You're very humble and very authentic, and you tell it like it is. I mean, we're very honest and forthcoming. And I think that authenticity, that humility, is the key to our culture, Jeff. And it's one of the most important items that isn't on the balance sheet that really makes us successful. And how do you measure actually that? I look at the measurement based on turnover. We have probably one of the lowest turnover ratios in the industry, I should say, and that's because people really love coming to work here. But it has to start at the top. It has to be authentic. You have to empower your teams to be successful, and that's what a lot of our culture is all about.
Does it really sort of break your heart then when you see and interact with some companies where you could just see the culture from the top of the organization is just it's painful. I mean, I love this industry so much. There are a small handful of builders that I would go to work for today. I think that TRI Pointe would be one of them. But for the most part, I look at it and I go, oh boy, the culture is so important to me. Is it frustrating for you to live in an industry where maybe it's not just our industry, but it's the industry that I know? I don't know.
Yeah, I don't frustrating. No, to be honest with you, when we occasionally hire some senior people that have worked with some of the other companies that you may be thinking about, and me too, I love to hear the stories of how senior management operate and run and treat their people. And I do that because I'm like, just kind of curious. And is it really that true that they really just do that? It's not frustrating. It's like, and I shouldn't even be asking, but I'm like, you know what? I'm really proud of what we do at TRI Pointe. And look at these guys are doing this over here to these people. And no wonder why they want to come work for us.
Right.
So it's
Right.
probably
Absolutely.
more,
Yeah.
I have more pride in what we have created and accomplished there's no frustration. I just look at it and say, I think we should be able to recruit and retain a lot of great people because of our culture.
Right. Right. You've had the opportunity to learn from some of the true legends in the industry over the years. Anyone in particular stand out for you?
Oh, for sure. Bill Lyon. Yeah, I mean, I spent 20 years cutting my teeth with Bill. He really has. He really installed how we treat our own people today. I mean, Bill was, a military guy, general in the Air Force. Everybody was on the ship together, so to speak. But how he treated people taught us a lot. And then the ability that he gave me personally to professionally expand myself. I mean, geez, I spent my early years in the field. I spent time in project management. I spent time as a CFO. I spent time as a division president, and then I ended up running the company. And all those experiences working for that man were amazing. I get some people in the housing industry, when I start telling all these old war stories of working with Bill, they go, you should write a book. And I go, well, who's going to read it? I mean, nobody's going to read it. Nobody cares. And I probably don't do a good enough job of sharing those experiences, but he definitely was a significant mentor in my career development.
Yeah. Yeah. You mentioned your journey along those lines. You're obviously at a place where a lot of people would love to be in your chair. How defined has your career been by planning versus how much has just evolved as opportunities have come about? I mean, did you look at it and say, one day this is where I want to be? I want to be the CEO of one of the largest home builders in the country.
No. Life is full of opportunities, and God, no way. I mean, where I grew up in the Midwest, Oregon, to playing sports, to going to work for a bank in LA. I actually thought when the bank paid for my MBA at USC, and I wanted to be an investment banker because I thought those guys were so cool. They were driving Porsches and making $100,000 a year, and I was making like 30,000 or something. I interviewed with one of them, but I luckily didn't get the job. And then the bank moved me into the real estate lending group, actually down in Orange County. And it was just by, good fortune that Bill Lyon actually was buying the Presley companies. Remember that name? I'm sure you do.
Yeah, sure. Yeah.
I was on the other side of the train. Bill needed, I think he needed about $100 million. I can't remember, but he needed some financing for it. Security Pacific National Bank provided the financing for him to buy Presley. And so I was in the room working with him on the loan documents. That's when banks would, give out, tons of money to builders on, just a handshake. And after that interaction with Bill, it was just good fortune. I mean, one week his secretary calls up and says, Mr. Lyon would like to meet you on a Friday at 4. And I'm thinking, man, I'm single. I got to go to the bar and have a drink and find a girlfriend. And he wants to meet me at Friday at 4. So no, it's not a plan. Nothing in life is planned out. I mean, you have
Yeah.
you do establish goals and objectives at different parts of
Right.
your life. And when we started TRI Pointe, can't believe it was 15 years ago. Yeah, it was 15 at 2009. Yeah. I never looked back. And so that's why I'm trying to do the math in my head. You know, Tom and I and Mike Grubbs, we had a plan of building this new home builder, kind of being this new builder in a marketplace that, the great financial crisis was just melting all around us. And but then your plans and your strategies adjust to what you see in front of you as opportunities. And that's really what I can drive our teams crazy because I'm always looking out forward and trying to anticipate what next moves we want to make. I'm not worried about what happened 5 years ago or even 2 years ago because I can't do anything about it. I'm looking
Right.
out, and that's where planning comes in. Strategic planning is what I call it.
Just for the record, would you have been a good investment banker?
For sure. uh, just for the
No, because I asked because I thought for the longest time I thought, well, I'm going to be a division president for a home builder, right? And I look back at it now and I go, I would have made a lousy division president for a home builder. I do three things really, really well. Everything else I suck at, and it's you got to know yourself, right? That's a
yeah,
big part of your success.
you need to know yourself, and it's funny when we started TRI Pointe in 2009. I mean, I love Bill. He taught me a lot about this
Yeah,
business, but we did have a fundamental difference of opinion on capital and leverage. And he loved leverage, and we, had a difference of opinion. And it's his company, and I actually decided to step aside in 2009, and I frankly had no idea what I was going to do. My wife was a little bit nervous because we had three small kids and I was getting paid a fair amount of money. And she remember her telling me, she goes, you need to put these kids through college. I said, yeah, we'll figure it out. We'll work it out. And, but I had no idea. I mean, you talk about planning. I had no idea. And so we were, I believed in myself. I knew I could maybe go back into financing. I don't know about investment banking. I could go try to interview with another home builder, be a division president, be whatever. I mean, I was president of Alliance, so I had a decent resume, but it's
right.
all about relationships too in this world that really drive your success. I mean, I've had a relationship with you for what, 35 years?
That's a long
Yeah, I
time. Yeah,
mean,
yeah,
I
yeah.
brag about it because I love Jeff Shore. I've been working with him since the great financial crisis. I get all these old man disease things that I say, but the relationships in this business or in your career are so important. And just like we have with you, and when I left Lion, I had a relationship with the Irvine Company. The Irvine Company, like literally maybe a month after I left Lion, Dan Young and Dan Hedigan called and said, hey, bring your buddy Mitchell and meet us up at Pelican because we want to talk to you about what Mr. Bren wants to do on the Irvine Ranch. And I said, okay, but on one condition, I don't have to wear a coat and tie. Yeah,
For just a little side note for all of you who are watching right now, if you step it casual Friday at the Irvine Company means where you can wear a blue shirt, whether a white shirt under a white shirt, under your coat and tie to be worn at all times, right?
exactly. So, we
Yeah,
showed
yeah,
up in our casual clothes, and that was really the point of the relationship that we had. And Dan Young looked at us and said, "Hey, Mr. Bren would like to have you be one of our guest builders in this executive building program, and you need a name, you need some money, and can you get that done in about 2 or 3 weeks?" And we're looking at each other like, "What? What did he just say?" So there was no plan there, Jeff. It was the opportunity that
right.
was presented to us that then we ran with.
Yeah. Right, right. But they had the land, and which it was the commodity that everyone needed. They were willing to be able to take on some of the risk. It actually worked out well for you. But connect the dots on something here. You had said that in going back in your experience with Bill Lyon that he wanted to leverage to a greater degree. But then your coming of age really happened when you took down the Weyerhaeuser companies. There's 5 different builders around the United States, and that was a David adopts Goliath moment for you, and yet it literally transformed the organization and made it just a beast in the industry. I have to suggest, Doug, that there had to be a tremendous amount of guts and probably a lot of sleepless nights that went into that decision.
Well, there were. I mean, and again, it's the opportunity that was presented in front of you, and it was the minnow swallowing the whale. Little old TRI Pointe. We went public in January 31st, 2013, and so we started. I actually went and met with Dan Fulton, who was then the CEO of Weyerhaeuser, who was a good friend, and I actually was so, kind of confident that I had dinner with him. I remember up in Seattle just after we went public, and I asked him if he'd be willing to sell quadrant homes. And he looked at me, and he's always very cagey. He goes, Bauer, I love you, but we're not selling you quadrant homes. So we had a nice dinner and parted ways. And it wasn't until that summer he called me and he said, I couldn't tell you this at dinner, but we're looking at strategic opportunity of all the Weyerhaeuser 5 home building companies, where it's a very complicated tax format where the smaller company swallows the bigger company and you issue stock and cash. And I'm looking at him like, I've never even heard of this. It's called a reverse Morris Trust is what it's called. And when we actually made our offer, we weren't in first place, by the way. There was another builder that had it tied up, but part of the deal is you had to go get financing. We issued $2 billion of stock, and we wrote a check to Weyerhaeuser for $700 million. Seems really simple, $2.7 billion, but there was a lot of sleepless nights, a lot of due diligence. And frankly, we got a call, probably in about the 7th or 8th inning saying, hey, TRI Pointe, you guys want to take a fresh look at this because the group that was in first place has dropped out. So again, opportunistic. That's when we stepped up and eventually closed that in 2014, July 2014.
Right. And it worked. And
it
worked.
Like you said, Jeff, it put us on the map. I mean, it was
sure.
It was it was 3 guys in a pickup truck buying Weyerhaeuser. That was Grubbs, Mitchell, and Bauer, and we didn't change anything because we didn't want. I mean, what was the most important thing that we got out of there besides the assets and everything? The people were really very much like what we had envisioned our culture of our company. And that was the aha moment during due diligence. I remember looking at Tom Mitchell, my partner down in San Diego, and I looked at him, I said, wow, these people are really, really strong, good operators. They really embody the culture of what we want to be as we kind of, build our company. And that was the aha moment during the due diligence of, hey, we've got this little tiny company. Now we become I think when you combined us back then, it was $1.5 billion revenues. Now we're like $4 billion, but we took advantage of the opportunity and ran with it for sure.
We're running short on time, but I got to ask you about this because not just as the leader at TRI Pointe, but a leader in the industry, the shortage of attainable housing is reaching a crisis stage. I think we can all agree on that. Lots of ideas, very little action. Does the situation have to get worse before our entire society recognizes that we have a significant problem when it comes to providing attainable housing?
It's such a great question, Jeff. Tom and I were literally talking about this topic yesterday. Some of me, I'm going to start sounding like a Jamie Dimon. Jamie always likes to. I think he's one of the best CEOs in the world and in this country, and he could be a little bit of a doomsday kind of guy. Hey, interest rates are going to be at 6%, which means mortgage rates are going to be at 8%. Blah blah blah. I do think there needs to be some sort of correction along with a more intentional kind of government. And when you throw government in there, it becomes very wishy-washy
I know.
because the government can't do anything. But I think there needs to be some correction on how and what we can get entitled and build to build more affordable housing for this country. And that correction could be, I'm not saying a home building massive 30-40% correction. I'm saying that we need to take a look at our industry and correct how we look at land, product, pricing, the cost of goods and services, and focus in on how we can build more attainable housing. And, as I get into the final chapter of my career, I just hung up with our Carolina division, and we were literally looking at a land deal, and we kind of think about those things. How can we build a more entry-level premium, more attainable product in Charlotte? And this is the land deal that we were talking about. So I think it can be done. It's going to take a course correction by the building community to keep focusing in on it. We do at TRI Pointe definitely focus on more of a premium entry level move up. And when you look at those millennial and Gen Zs, they really have the affordability and the desire to have that kind of placemaking, that kind of focus on that life, kind of that premium lifestyle brand. So we do fit a nice lane on that too, even as we kind of correct ourselves in offering product at a more attainable price.
We're just about out of time. Tell us what Doug Bauer is like when he's not working, or is he ever not working?
Oh yeah. We love our family. I was blessed with 3 very athletic kids. So we're constantly working out and playing, and whether it's running, going to the gym together, going golfing together, going out the boat together, spend a lot of family time. I mean, in the end, the most important thing in life is your family, your friendships, and your faith. In my mind, TRI Pointe comes forth and really behind all that. And so we love being in the outdoors and be very active as a family.
Are you still spending a fair amount of time up at Tahoe?
I am. I'm up here at the TRI Pointe headquarters in Incline Village as we speak, and it's beautiful.
Oh, love it. I was looking over your shoulder. I was wondering whether I was seeing some pines out there. So there you go. There you go. Yeah. All right. Before we wrap it up here, I'm going to put you on the hot seat. Just a few rapid fire questions here for you. Okay. Ready? Here we go. The artist or band that you listened to most in high school?
U2.
U2. Good choice. The most beautiful place you've ever stood?
Marlette Lake.
Where was that?
Up off the Flume Trail, about 30 minutes up the hill.
Oh, okay. All right. A book you read a long time ago that had a lasting impact.
Oh, the fall. It's about the fall of GE and Jack Welch and his management style. It'll come to me, but next question.
Yeah. All right. Your first car?
What was? Oh, a Toyota Corolla yellow.
I love those answers because they keep us humble. All right. And finally, your first celebrity crush. Who was your first celebrity crush? Now, you and I are the same age here, so we may share our first celebrity crush.
Oh, probably Brooke Shields.
Brooke Shields. Okay. All right. I was going to go with Barbara Eden, but that's fine. We can go either way. Doug, always enjoy spending time with you. Congratulations on the success of TRI Pointe for sure, but your own success as well. Thank you for building just an amazing culture, and I look forward to years and years, not just of partnership, but friendship. Thanks for spending a few minutes with us.
Anytime, Jeff. Love seeing you.
Well, there you go. Amy, I'll toss it over to you because I know you've known Doug for a number of years.
Yeah.
Give us your thoughts there.
Just such an impressive guy, right? Like you have this massively successful CEO who you kind of think might be a jerk. And he's just not. He's just not. He's humble. He's accomplished. He cares about others. It's all the factors that you would want in a CEO. And I just have so much respect for him and what he does.
Yeah, he's a brilliant guy. Super nice. You're absolutely one of the kindest people, and he's good looking. I mean, come on, pick two, dude. You pick two. You don't get all three of those. It kind of ticks me off, to tell you the truth.
Kevin, your thoughts? Say that, but okay.
Yeah. Kevin, I don't think you've ever met Doug Bauer, but any thoughts?
I don't know that I have, but I was very impressed, certainly, by that interview. I think this idea of this humble and authentic CEO, I think he's ahead of the curve. I think that is coming. Like, I think, like to Amy's saying, oh, you expect him to be a jerk. Well, you kind of expect CEOs of Fortune 500 companies to be jerks. That's just kind of the heuristic that we have. But I think with this upcoming generations, especially, like we're not putting up with that anymore. And I think Doug knows it, and he is getting ahead of that, and just is like, this is the way we're going to treat people. We're going to treat people authentically. We're going to treat people with kindness. We're going to genuinely want them to succeed, and that can inspire them to help us to succeed. I think that's visionary.
Yeah, and I would just say for the record that I've known a lot of CEOs in this industry over the years, and I can think of one that I would legitimately refer to as a jerk. So
okay.
It's
fair enough.
You're right. No, you're right. It is a heuristic for CEOs in general, right? That we're thinking that they're going to be, really idiots and not idiot, but really difficult to work for and abusive of the people around them. I've rarely seen that to be the case. Now, having said that, the jerkness of the one guy that I am referring to, there's plenty there, so we'll leave it at that.
Yeah, you can spread it around. We'll confirm notes after, because I have one person in mind too, and I bet we're talking about the same person. So yeah,
we'll talk. Yeah. All right, Amy. Anything else before we wrap it up?
I wanted to check in on your cat.
It's not my cat.
Well, don't. You have a name for it, right? As soon as you name an animal, it's yours.
Hold on, I didn't name it. My granddaughter named it. And by the way, my granddaughter Ellie named it when we thought it was a girl. It turns out it's not a girl. It's a boy cat. And so now we don't know even so it no longer has a name. There you go. But for those of you who are not in the know, yeah, this cat just showed up in our backyard and has adopted us. Super friendly cat. But I don't like cats, so I don't know what we're going to do. Meanwhile, Brody, our little mini Labradoodle, is scared to death. So this cat has completely disrupted the lifestyle of the backyard. What are you going to do? So
I love it. Yeah. I love it. Well, your rodent population is going to go down, so congratulations.
Yes, yeah, we'll go with that. About the only benefit that I can think of. In the meantime, this cat just moves from chair to chair. We've got very comfortable seating on our back deck, and the cat just goes from chair to chair and makes sure that if you're going to sit on it, you're going to look like a cat by the time you get up. That's the cat's contribution. Yeah. All right. Well, there you go. Another episode of Builder365. Kevin Shore, thanks for dropping by. Good to talk to you.
Thanks. I can't believe we made it through this whole episode without mentioning that we're all wearing white. I mean, we were talking about condiments and ketchup. Like, how did we drop the ball on this?
Right. Look at that.
Absolutely. There you go. Good catch. Amy, as always, good spending time with you. For all of you, thank you so much for dropping in. Hope you enjoyed it. Until next time, go out and change someone's world. We'll see you.
All right. Thanks.